Hello, welcome to yoga. In today's class, we're going to be focusing on flow. And in yoga, sometimes you might hear the term vinyasa, which means putting together poses in a particular sequence and flowing through them. Sometimes vinyasa yoga can be a little bit more challenging because we are moving with the breath. So might be like inhale, arms up, exhale, arms down, forward fold, step back, downward dog, plank, and with every inhale and exhale, we move to a different pose. So we're going to be taking it a little bit slower in today's class, and we are going to begin standing. You could also have a blanket available to you if you want to pad your knees, because we're going to come down onto the knees eventually. So welcome to today's gentle flow yoga class. If you're coming along with me and want to start your Spotify playlist, you can go ahead and do that now. One thing that's really nice about vinyasa and flowing through your yoga poses is it conjures up that state of mind when you are in the flow, when time starts to become effortless and whatever you are doing becomes timeless. So see if you can tap into that mindset of just flowing through today's practice with a little bit less effort in staying present. So we're going to begin with our hands out. This is our mountain pose. Feet are planted hip width apart, parallel. And let's just begin by feeling the flow of the breath. You could close your eyes if you like, or come into a soft gaze. Taking some deep breaths initially before we settle down into our normal, natural breath pattern. Now, on the inhalation, we're going to bring our hands, palms up. They're going to touch, and we're going to exhale right back down through center. You're going to come into your own flow. So breathing and moving your arms, coordinating the breath and the movement with the inhale up and the exhale down. Be firmly rooted in the feet, your foundation. 2 more times. Inhale up. Last one. Coming back into your mountain pose when you're ready. Bring it back to center. We're going to take our feet a little bit wider, maybe stepping off the mat or turning sideways on your mat. And we're going to do a little spinal twist. So we're going to turn in one direction and we're going to move the hands through the space. It's a twist. Palms moving or palms out, moving in the direction that you are moving through space. You could bring a little tension into your arms. It's a little Tai Chi move, moving the energy. Inhaling in one direction and exhaling in the other. Could watch the hands with your eyes. This is very good for your vestibular apparatus in your inner ear, which is very important for equilibrium and balance. One more time in each direction. Bringing it back to center. We're going to turn our toes out and we're going to do a little bit of a spinal roll. Now you don't have to come all the way down for this one. So looking up, bending your knees, tucking your tail, coming down, and then forward, and then round your spine and press back into standing with the head the last thing that comes up. Sinking and rising. We're moving our spine in a flexion and an extension. Kind of like when we do our cat and our cow. I'll show it to you from the side. Tail is tucked, and then we arch our spine and we press up. Hands could be on the thighs, touching, being stimulated. Last one. Bringing it back up. We're going to bring our feet back underneath us. And we're going to take our arm forward and around. So stepping one foot back, same arm gets to move. See if you can bring your arm palm up and then turn your hand so it comes back and down. We're just warming up our joints for our practice today. So it's an inhale up and an exhale back down. One more time in this direction. Maybe bending into that front leg a little bit. And then see if you can take it the other way, coming around, forward, palm up. Exhale. Inhale. Last one. We're going to bring it back to center. We're going to start the other side. Same foot, steps back, coming forward and turning palm down. Just warming up the shoulder joint, seeing our range of motion where it is in today's practice. Breathing. You could bend a little bit and straighten. One more time in this direction. Can you take it back first and around? Breathing, engaging the core. Two more times around. Last one. Bring it back to center. We're going to wrap our arms around our body and then bring your chin into your chest. Stay rooted through the feet. Just opening up the back of your shoulders. Noticing which arm is on top. We're going to open up the chest. Big inhale. And other arm on top. Chin to chest. And bring it back up. We're going to just gently tap the body, bringing one arm, the other arm, breathing, opening up the chest, opening up the back of the body. Nice and gentle. 2 more times. And bring it back to center. Okay, let's step to the front of our mat. Coming into mountain pose. Take a deep breath in. Palms come up above the head, touching, and then we're going to forward fold. Keeping a straight spine, bending your knees, coming into forward fold. Could let your body hang. Take a deep breath in. We're going to bring our hands to our shin and come into monkey pose. So straightening the spine, maybe straightening the legs. Arms are straight. Gaze is down. Take a deep breath in, bring it back down. Exhale. We're going to step the right foot back and then the left foot back, coming into our downward facing dog. So remember to spread your fingers. Take your tailbone up into the sky. You could bend your knees if you need to, or start to begin to bring your heels down to the ground. we're going to shift our body weight over to 1 foot. Now, option is you can drop this to your knees and do it all from here. So you could bring that knee in on your knees. I'd recommend padding if you have a hard surface under your knees. Or you could bring your right leg up into the air and then just begin to move the leg. One direction, just like we did with the arms, breathing. And then take and move it the other direction. And then we're going to get ready to step that foot forward and in between the hands. We're going to turn that back foot out and we're going to come up and into warrior. So if you were down on your knees, you could do that by coming into your downward facing dog and then stepping 1 foot forward and gazing out. We're going to take the palm up. We're going to take the arm up into the sky. And this is the one pose that we're going to do. And then we're going to flow back through center. Forearm touches to the thigh, arm up into the sky. So we're going to flow between exalted, warrior 2, and then side angle. So being nice and soft, maybe in the arms. Soft in movement, flow in the spine. Solid in the base. So that base should be nice and solid. You could engage your thighs. You could engage your low belly. It's a nice flow from one side to the other, front to back. Breathe. Don't fall down. And one more time. We're going to end back in our warrior 2 pose right here. Now to come down, I'm going to turn my back foot and I'm going to bring my hands down and I'm going to come back into my downward facing dog. Option to drop it to your knees, pad your knees. Option to take the left leg up into the air and begin to move it in circles. Breathe. Option to move it the other direction. If you're down on your knees, you could come up into downward facing dog and then step that foot between your hands. Maybe it takes a couple of steps. Turn that back leg and come up and onto the other side. Gaze out in front of you. Palm up, front hand. Reach up and back, our exalted warrior. Keep nice and strong in the base and then flowing through warrior 2 and side angle. Reaching the arm up. Let's just do this a few times. Feeling that flow. Last one. We're going to come back into our warrior 2. Hands out, nice and strong. We're going to pick up that back heel, turn, and bring our hands down and step the front leg back, downward facing dog. Now we're going to come onto all fours, and so I'm going to pad my knees. If you have blocks, they might also be helpful for this flow that we're going to do on the ground. Okay, you could tuck your toes under and come into angry cat, pressing the mat away. Take your knees out wide. We're going to sink back and into extended child's pose. Palms can come forward, forehead can come down. Take a deep breath in. Let's bring it back to center. We're going to bring our hands back underneath us and we're going to set up for side plank. So one leg picking up the knee, turning the shin out for our kickstand. Bring the other same hand, if this is left foot and left hand, and then take the other leg back. And this is our side plank. You could lift that back leg if you like, or keep it rooted. This is a balance pose, so find your balance, pull your low belly in, breathe. Let's bring our foot back down. We're going to take the arm under, reaching around, and then bring it back up and open up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Last one. Bring your hand back down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So turn that foot out, plant your hand right underneath your shoulder, lift the arm up, and then draw it under. We'll do the balance at the end here. Exhale. One more time, and then bring it back to center, arm up. Lift that back leg if you like. Flexing the foot might help. Finding a gaze point would help. Breathe. Continue to breathe. Okay, let's bring our hand back down. We're going to come back into our extended child's pose. You could take your knees wide. You could bring your hands out. If you like, you could come up onto your fingertips. This is kind of a nice version of this that opens up the shoulders a little bit more. It's an interesting sensation in your shoulder girdle. Cupping your hands and building strength in your fingers. Breathe. Take a deep breath in. Let's bring it back to center. We're going to find our way onto our belly and into Sphinx pose, elbows underneath. We could let our hips relax down, our hip bones. Notice if your blanket is making this a little bit more difficult, more uncomfortable, you could always adjust that, taking it out. Just noticing your low back. And then we're going to turn our head one direction, chin comes to the chest, and then look the other direction. Again, that flowing of the head, the eyes moving. Exhale down, inhale up. Okay, let's bring our body back. Up, all fours. We're going to come into the pose of the day, which is crescent lunge. It's a low lunge. It's Anjaneyasana, the pose of the day, Anjaneyasana. So we're going to step the right foot through between the hands, and we're going to lean forward. And notice that my back knee is way back behind the hip. So I'm really trying to open up the front of the hip here. I could curl my toes under or keep the top of the foot down on the mat, depending upon whether or not you want to stretch out the connective tissue on the bottom of the foot. We're going to come up. Now, notice, does this feel okay to your low back? We just kind of stretched it out a little bit. So if this doesn't feel okay, you can bring your hands back down so that it doesn't put that low arch in your low back. So bringing it up, we're going to take our arms up. Inhale, finding your gaze point, and exhale back down. 2 more. Breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale. We're going to do half splits. You could bring your hands down if you have blocks. This might be an opportunity to use them. We're going to straighten the front leg and maybe walk our hands back, coming onto the heel, and then bringing your chest towards your thighs where we're looking for that stretch. Low back stretch, back of body, back of thigh. Then bring it back forward. We're going to take this leg back. We're going to go to the other side. Anjaneyasana, low lunge, crescent lunge. Holding it here, remembering what you did on the other side with that back foot. You could curl the toes under. Maybe walk the front foot out so that the knee stays over the ankle. So we don't want like that front foot to be way back behind and the knee to be way far out in front. Make it easier to balance, stacking the joints. Coming up, noticing that this feels okay to your low back. If it doesn't, you can always keep your hands on the ground. If you're with me, you could take a deep breath in for 3. Exhale down. Breath in. Last one. Bring your hands back down, coming into your half splits. Thigh can come, or chest can come towards the thigh. Chin can come towards the chest. And take a deep breath in. Let's bring it back forward and step that foot back. We're going to come into a seated position. You could move the blanket out of the way. We're going to come into Baddha Konasana, which is not the pose of the day, but it's cobbler's pose. So bringing your knees down, sitting up nice and straight. You can always grab onto your ankles or your shins, just as long as you keep your spine straight. That's the important part. And then we could play with flowing through center, a little sway of the spine. And then looking around the room. When you're ready, we'll bring it back to center. Little forward fold here. You could bring your feet out and then just bring your hands down. Maybe this is as far as you want to go with this. Maybe you can walk your hands out a little bit. We're trying to keep the low back nice and straight. And then the chin can come into the chest. A little forward fold. Taking some deep breaths here. Let your body just flow into the shape. Take a deep breath in. Let's bring it back up to center. We're going to take our feet to the floor, hands back. You could, I could turn sideways. I could show you. We want to see if you can get your fingertips towards your bottom, and then your feet are wide. And we're going to arch the spine as we take the knees from one side to the other. You could squeeze your shoulder blades back. Okay, let's bring our feet back underneath. We're going to grab the backs of our thighs and roll back, and we're going to bring the knees into the chest. You could come into happy baby with the feet up into the sky. If you like, you can let your body sway. We're going to come into our hollow pose. So this is where the low back stays on the floor. Feet can be flexed. Shins can be parallel with the ground. And then we come up and we press the low belly down and we lift our arms out here. This is maybe where you want to stay, but you want to keep the breath flowing. Relax the face. Don't hold tension in your jaw. And then bringing your arms and legs out a little bit if you like. But wherever you are, you want to make sure you stay rooted, that low back into the ground. And then bring it into the chest. And let's flow between knees into the chest and coming into hollow, keeping the low back on the ground. So you could exhale back in. Just one way or the other. The breath flowing. You're probably going to start to really feel this in your core muscles, your low belly muscles. Last one. Let's bring those feet down to the ground. We're going to lift up and into bridge pose. So press the low belly down, lift up, coming onto the shoulders. You could bring your hands so that they face one another. Palms are facing together. My elbows are bent. And then one way that I like to get my shoulders under is I just lift up onto my upper arms and then I squeeze my shoulder blades together. And then my chest is a little bit higher and it's a little bit more open. It's kind of a neat trick. See if you can bring a little tension between your thighs so you're squeezing towards the midline. And then breathe here. Shaking might happen. That's okay. Finding your edge. Let's bring it slowly back down. We're going to extend the left leg. We're going to scoot ourselves over to the left side. Spinal twist. Foot can come to the thigh. You could extend your right arm out, rooting your shoulder down. Taking some deep breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let's bring it back through center. Extend the other leg long. Scoot over to the side, foot to the thigh. Breathing here. Take a deep breath in, bring it back through center. We're going to bring our thighs in and we're going to roll like a ball, front to back, staying off the head and the neck. We're going to cross our legs, coming up, hands plant, and then walk yourself back to all fours. Now again, if you're going to be on all fours here and not downward dog, you might want to pad your knees. I'm going to plant my fingers underneath my shoulders, my hands. I'm going to curl my toes and I'm going to press back into this downward facing dog. Now we're going to flow between down dog and plank position and maybe just dropping the hips a little bit. So option, I'm just going to show it with the knees first. Option, this is my kneeling plank. And then this is my coming back and I'm just like flowing between these two. It's like a rippling of the spine. Option up on downward dog. Maybe even dropping the hips a little bit. Be very gentle with your low back. Engage the core. Ripple it forward, arch your spine. Press up and back. Wherever you are, one more time. We're going to walk our hands back from downward dog. If you're on your all fours, you could always come up and then bring yourself into this forward fold. You could take your feet mat width apart and then just begin to bend the knees, turning the toes out a little bit, and let your body sway from side to side. Let your head hang. The top of my head is facing the ground. I'm coming into a little bit of traction here. It's good for your neck. And then when you're ready, you could bring your elbows up to your thighs. Take your tailbone out. If you like, you can bring the hand onto one thigh and just kind of look over your shoulder. You could bring it the other side. Option here, if you just want to stay here. Option to come into your squat and come up onto the ball of one foot and then shift to the ball of the other foot. So this is a little modification of that full-on squat pose. And then let's find our way back to center, press to rise. Coming into standing position. Feet are hip width apart. We're going to take our arms up this time. Inhale. Bend at the hips. Sink your hips back as if you're sitting in a chair and then shoot it back up. So it's a breath in. And then two more. And last one. Okay. Balance pose. Hands on your hips. You can bring them around. You can make it big. Now, can we flow into Warrior 3, which is leg back, flexed foot, and then arms out, finding your gaze down on the floor. This way. Balance. Play with it. And then bring that leg down. We're going to shift to the other side. Flowing into Warrior 3 on the other side. Breathing. Finding your balance, your edge here. And then bring it back to center. Okay, tree pose. Finding your knee right over your ankle, your hip right over your knee. Engage the low belly. You can always use something to hold on to. You could always keep your one foot rooted or both feet rooted, or you can bring it up to your shin or above your knee. You don't really want it next to your knee. And then hands to the heart. We're going to flow here. Let's actually bring them up first and then out and down. It's like the hydrological cycle and transpiration. Our roots suck up the water, and then the water evaporates from the leaves and it goes into the sky, and then it rains back down, and then it gets sucked back up by evaporation. That whole cycle involving the plants and the trees of our planet, the clouds, the rain, the rivers, the oceans. One more time. And then shifting to the other foot. Planting it, engaging your core. Foot can come here or above the knee. Finding your gaze point. Sucking up the water through your roots, the vascular tissue, evaporating out, raining down. The flow. One more time. Okay, let's bring it back down. Let's take a little gentle spinal twist before final relaxation. You could take your arms, relax your jaw. Maybe open your mouth wide a couple of times. And then any other move that would feel good to you before coming down and onto your back body, taking this opportunity to stay in the flow, stay in the moment, stay in the practice for just 4 more minutes. Can you just settle your body down and say, this is the time that I have given myself to practice today. I have nothing to worry about. It's effortless. And then bring your awareness to the back of the body. The subtle movements as you inhale and exhale. And feeling the top of the body. Letting it become a little light and buoyant. And if you have allergies like me, you might need to come up if you feel like you're going to have a coughing fit. Otherwise, just staying where you are. Can always finish on your back or in seated position. You're ready. You can come over and onto your side body, taking a couple deep breaths here. Kind of a reset, a reboot of your nervous system. Pressing up and into seated. Notice how you feel. Bring your hands together, thanking yourself for coming to the practice today and thanking each other for being here as well. Namaste.